What's going on, everybody? I am here to do a review for the movie Candyman. Candyman is probably one of the most recognized, I could say, urban horror films ever made. Came out, well, the original one came out in 1992, and this one that came out in 2021, that was supposed to come out in 2020, but we know with everything that happened, just recently came out this Friday. I saw it on Thursday evening. It was directed by Nia DaCosta. It was produced by Jordan Peele and his company, which is called Monkey Paw Productions, which of course he's behind Get Out and Us and all those different good things like that. So before I actually get into the review, let me just preface by saying this movie is not a remake of the original. It's more of a reboot. It's actually more of a direct sequel to the first Candyman movie that came out in 1992. So basically what this movie is about this couple, by the names of Anthony and Brianna, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen. If you don't know who he is, he plays Black Manta in Aquaman, and he will be reprising his role in the second Aquaman movie. And Brianna's played by Teyana Paris, who we all know. She was in Dear White People. She was recently in WandaVision as Monica Rambeau, and she will be playing Monica Rambeau in The Marvels, which is the sequel to Captain Marvel, which comes out next year. And ironically, the director of this movie is directing that movie. So she'll be working with her again. So I'm kind of curious to see how she's going to do in that role, and I'm sure she's going to kill it if they don't try to nerf her powers. If you know the powers of Monica Rambeau, you know she's OP as fuck. But they play this couple in Chicago, and their artist, well, he's more of an artist, and she runs basically an art gallery, and he's basically, I guess you could say, a struggling artist. He's just trying to find a way to improve his art because a lot of people think that his art is not the best, or that they feel that he could do better. So they try to dig at him to try to get him to find something that is worth talking about or worth putting out there. And he basically goes on this, I guess you can say, this journey around Cabrini Green, which is a real place in Chicago. Harvey definitely would know way more about it because he talks about Chicago a lot. And Cabrini Green is basically a very rundown area in Chicago that probably is heavily gentrified right now, where it was pretty much, I guess you could say, it was like Section 8 housing. A lot of black people lived and come from there. And basically they go, and he, tries to find something artistic to talk about. And then that's when he stumbles across the story of Candyman. Now, one thing I will give this movie, if I don't give it anything else, is that one thing I liked about it is that they go into the lore of Candyman. They actually talk about, the story, the backstory of who he is and where did he come from. Because as you know, in the 1992 version with Tony Todd, they only focused on his one take on that character. And we all knew the backstory of the character. He was a slave that came from the 1890s. He was an artist, and he ended up falling in love with this white woman. She ended up getting pregnant. They chased him, and they pretty much tortured him, threw honey on him, threw bees on him, and he got burnt. And that's basically how the bees and the things like that came from that. But going into this movie, we learn that the Candyman arc is actually not just him, it's actually more people, and I actually liked how they did that. If I could say that one thing that was scary about this movie, I would say that the story of Candyman itself is scary, because that could be so relatable to a lot of black people, especially black men. And basically how they explained it was that every time a black man in particular faced an injustice from Dub S, as I like to call it, when he pretty much dies, his body or his essence becomes that of Candyman. And that's basically how it continues. And it's not, like I said, it's not just one person. It continues. It's like a transference of power from one person to the next to the next. And what's interesting is how the transference of power or should I say, not so much power, but the transference of the Candyman essence travels from person to person, and that's through the bee. So I thought that was very interesting how they explained that as much as they possibly could when it came to that. Like I said, the story itself of Candyman is actually more scarier to me than the actual movie itself. The movie to me was not that scary. It's probably been a while since I've seen a movie that's actually made me jump. I don't think I jumped one time in this movie. It was some things in there that kind of made me like ooh, like a little bit and everything like that. But it was excuse me, I can't even get my words out. In some cases, it wasn't even because of something that's scary that was happening. It was something that may have been said or something that was done. Like they really hit you over the head with talking about gentrification. They talked about that. They talked about Dub S. They hit on that. They talked about racism. Like they really gave, I will say this, they gave you a little bit of a history lesson about what black people had to go through, especially in the Chicago area. And I thought it was very interesting. They talk about Chicago. They love to talk about Chicago in a very stereotypical way, even to this day. So it's interesting that they took that of a history lesson and kind of threw a horror element into it. And, you know, they kind of laid it out like that. But like I said, the movie itself to me was not that scary. It didn't make me jump. Like I said, the story of Candyman himself, or the essence of it, was scarier than the movie, if that makes sense. Now, as far as the performances go from the two lead actors, they both did a very good job acting wise. I would say that the actor who played Anthony, played by, like I said, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, he did very good with facial expressions, because I noticed with his character, they did a lot of close-up headshots of him. So he had to do a lot of facial acting. And you know, he had to sometimes act excited. He had to have sometimes when he acts scared. He had to have times when he acts like fearful and everything like that. And he was able to hit on those points every time he had to do a facial expression, especially since the way that you summon the Candyman character is through saying his name in the mirror 5 times. So I thought that was very interesting that they made sure they gave him close-up shots. They also made sure to put mirrors around him, almost like, not in every scene that he was in, but I noticed that they kept mirrors around him, like in the scene when he was in the elevator. He was in the elevator that had mirrors on the sides. When the doors closed, it was a mirror. If you looked up, it was a mirror. When he went to the apartment of this, I guess she was an editor, I'm not sure what her profession was. When she was in the bathroom, right down the hall was a mirror. There was a mirror in his art studio where he would paint at. So there was like, they made sure there was mirrors everywhere. But he did very good with facial acting. Especially the part where he had to go and meet with his mother, who was played by Vanessa Williams. Now here's where the connection comes in case y'all didn't catch it, maybe because I think the trailers pretty much gave it away to me. His character, and I hope, and this is like a spoiler right here, his character is the baby that was pulled out of the fire from the first Candyman, the one where, you know, the woman Helen, the white woman Helen, went in there, she pulled him out of the fire. That's him. He's the baby that was pulled out of that fire, and Vanessa Williams, who plays his mother, was the one who, that's his mother. And I feel like that's really not much of a spoiler. If you saw the first one and you saw the trailer for this one, you saw she was in it and you saw he was talking to her. I think that kind of was like the spoiler right there in the trailer, letting you know, oh, that's the son. So that's the connection that he has to Candyman right there. He took him from her. They thought it was Helen, but it wasn't. He was going to kill him in the fire. Helen went in and pulled him out of the fire and gave him back to his mother, played by Vanessa Williams. And that's the connection that both of them have with each other. Teyana Parris, who played Brianna, she did a very good job playing her character. She plays, of course, the girlfriend to Anthony. She co-runs like an art gallery or an art exhibit. And she believes in her boyfriend and everything that he can possibly do, even when people keep trying to tell him that he can't do this and he can't do that, or he's a struggling artist. But she truly believes in his work, but at the same time, she wants to move up and move forward. In some cases, she feels sometimes that maybe people putting it in her ear, that Anthony is holding her back from actually going and tapping into her true potential as a very well sought out after art gallery runner. So like I said, there's some conflict that is there between the both of them, and you've kind of figured that out within the climax of the film and how everything starts to unravel itself. I don't want to spoil too much more of it, just in case anyone out there wants to go and watch the film for themselves. But like I said, the movie itself to me was not scary at all. Like I said, it didn't make me jump or be scared or say I'm gonna have nightmares or anything like that. But don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna go stand in front of a mirror and say that name 5 times. I'm not about to do that. That just is what it is. But the story of the lore of Candyman itself is scary, because it's like, wow, what if that's real? Because you gotta think of how many, let's just put it in real life, how many black men have been killed unjustly throughout history, you know, even on recent day. And just imagine the essence of a Candyman hitting every last one of those guys, and they basically come back and they, in a way, seek their revenge, so to speak. I will say this though, that last, I would say the last 30 seconds of the film, that cameo, I was waiting for it. I'm going through the whole movie saying to myself, when is it happening? Because I know he's on the cast list. When is it happening? And then it popped up right there. That right there kind of put a smile on my face. And I'm going to leave it at that. Y'all could pretty much figure out what I'm talking about. But all in all, Candyman was decent. I'm not going to say it was the greatest movie, like the greatest horror movie. In my opinion, the 1992 version still is up there, like as one of the best horror movies ever made. And you know, it is what it is. But you know, it's kind of hard when you're doing movies like this and whatnot. But I'm glad that they kind of went in the direction that they did and expounded more on the Candyman story, and saying that there is more than one Candyman. It's not just that one that we were all familiar with. They said there were several, because one of the characters in the movie said it in the trailer when they said Candyman isn't just a person, he's the whole damn hive. And when I heard that, I said, interesting. So it's not just one person, it can be several. And it's just passed on. It's almost like passing of the torch. So with that being said, the Candyman character can never truly die. It can constantly move forward over and over and over again. It just doesn't stop. It's like a spirit, so to speak. But that's pretty much my review of Candyman. I hope I didn't really leave anything out. I pretty much just gave my take on it, how I feel about it. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. Are you going to see it or you're not going to see it? I won't try to force you to go see it if you don't want to see it. But this is just my take on it, my honest opinion about Candyman, the 2021 version. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.